Thank you very much for coming along to try and listen to a few words about this particular course. My name is Martin Ems. I'm the course director of this particular course, Computer Science and Language. So there's a little picture which kind of tries to give you an image of what the thing contains, and it combines the study of, well, three things. Computer science, a language, as will be German, French or Irish, and also the science of language, a particular language and also the science of language. Linguistics is the name given to the scientific study of language, and that will be a further component of the course. And computational linguistics is the technological kind of payoff of scientifically studying language to make computers do useful things with language. So in one slide, those are the three components of the course. I try and take you on a little tour through what those things might concretely turn out to be, and then we'll look into some further features of it. So one of the main things is learning computer science. Computer science, what we're aiming to do, this is the project, make you a master of the techniques and technologies that lie behind what you see when a computer does something clever. So computers could be tablets, they could be laptops, they could be desktops, they could be these little things. And computers are much more ubiquitous than maybe you first imagine them to be. So if you were possibly online shopping today, there'll be various suggestions being made to you about you bought this, you might also like that. Well, there'll be a computer program in the background making that happen as you're maybe plotting your course at Trinity College. You're looking at the weather forecast and seeing some colourful map and animated clouds. Again, that will be done by a computer model figuring things out. So there's computers possibly out of sight, not just sitting in front of you, that are doing many things on any given day. If you were to sort of analyse through what was going on, you'd find actually, in a possibly hidden way, the trace of computers there. So there's a lot of people involved in making, in the first place, those computer processes come into existence, maintaining them as well. So we're aiming to give you the mastery of that technology so that well, you can participate in it. So you can both be a possible developer, assisting in the developing of cool new ways for computers to do useful things, possibly keeping the things that are already being done by computers going forward. Now we do this in such a way we don't actually require you to have got prior knowledge of computer programming before you start. So the degree is designed to do an introduction to computing, which you do in the computer science department alongside all the other computer science students. It's hard to know whether someone is going to have an aptitude for computer programming sort of off the bat. What you can say is computer programming is a precise business, so you have to have a sort of certain appetite for precision. There's a kind of symbolic aspect to it, and for that reason we use this as an indicator that you maybe have the turn of mind involving precision, involving symbols, maybe involving analysis and structure to suggest you will have this aptitude. It's an imperfect kind of proxy, but that's what we do. It's just not to indicate that the degree itself contains a particularly large amount of maths. There are some maths modules in it, but it's not a large amount of maths. Okay, so that's a tiny few words about what we're aiming to do in the computer science side of things. Also, you will be mastering a language, either German, French or Irish. Those courses will be provided by the relevant language departments in Trinity College. And, well, they will be putting you through your paces on those languages, aiming to get you to a level in those languages which is a high level, a high enough level that you could professionally use that competence you've acquired. So this is not sort of conversational holiday French or German or Irish. I want to point that out. They will, make serious demands on you in reaching a high level in the language. And what happens is the first 2 years of the course, you're here, and the language departments will be doing their thing, as well as the other departments. And then in the third year, you go away as an Erasmus student. So the EU gives you some money, not a large amount, but some money to help you go abroad. You don't have to pay the fees to be abroad. And we have these various partner universities in France and Germany and in Scotland to which our students go. And you then spend that year there. You continue to study the blend of things that are in the degree whilst you're on your year abroad. And in Germany and France, through the medium of the foreign language, through German and French. So for that reason, the first 2 years, they're aiming to put you in a position to carry that out. So that's a notable feature of the degree, that you will be going off to do that. And then there's this third component, the scientific study of language. So everyone speaks a language, so we don't notice it. We just use it non-stop, so you don't really notice it. But when people do stand back and look at language and study them, they notice various systems and patterns to them, just as when you study like chemicals, you find structures and patterns there. And that is what linguistics is involved with. Computational linguistics is really taking what you find when you do that kind of methodical study and try to exploit it for technological gain. So, for example, there's systems in the sounds of languages, regularities in there which would have escaped your notice till now, until someone points them out to you. And some people in the linguistics department will be the people who will be endeavouring to open your eyes to some of these aspects of linguistics. There's systems in the words of languages, in what words are possible and what words are not possible, how they come to mean what they do mean, given the components that they have. Grammar is probably something people do have an awareness of what grammar might be. People look at grammars and look at it from language to language and notice rhythms and patterns and going on there. And then there's the relationship between the syntax of something, and there's systems in how the syntax of something relates to what it means. So linguistics, I guess, is a subject that people don't have the most amount of insight into what it will entail. Maybe that gives you a tiny glimpse into what it might entail. So there's this whistle-stop tour of these three components. The picture is supposed to give you an impression of the relative amount of time devoted to them, though that's a kind of imprecise thing. Well, I'll say a few words now about the fact that it isn't really just three segments, unrelated to each other. These things are more related to each other than you might at first think. I know for me, and I'm sure it's the case for other people, it was only when I started studying a foreign language that I started to have any notion of there being any such thing as grammar or syntax. I mean, your own language, you just learn, and it's like walking or falling asleep. You don't have to sort of think about it or be aware of how it works. And it's only when you're starting to learn a language which you didn't learn as a child that you started to notice they teach you grammatical things, and then you notice them back in your own language. Anyway, so because you're studying a foreign language, you already have a kind of head start in linguistics in a way that people who don't study a foreign language, they don't have that. Conversely, one of the things you're doing when you're studying linguistics is learning about the sounds of language and what is really going on when different sounds are made. And that in itself can give you an insight into how to pronounce the language that it is that you're trying to study. So things that you're baffled on how to pronounce, you have a sort of deeper view of how it's supposed to go, which can help you actually make a better job of doing the pronunciation. There's a kind of abstract way these things are related to each other. In linguistics, there's lots of instances where things are analysed in terms of one component being inside another and another inside that. There's notions of structure and substructure. And in programming, this also abounds as well. People talk about a function calling another function, or a data structure containing another data structure. So although the two areas of study seem really remote, linguistics and programming, in fact, the kind of conceptual material involved turns out to be really quite similar, and it's often the case that people who kind of find the linguistic analysis easy to digest find the programming easy to digest, and conversely, there's a surprising kind of similarity to the turn of mind that's required. Then there's a further link with computational linguistics, which I mentioned, which is how to make technologies doing things with language using computers. So there's a very impressionistic picture to give you an idea of what that might involve. So in the middle of it, you've got some linguistic analysis of a piece of language. And this can then be put to work to do various things: translation, speech synthesis, and many other things. So as I mentioned, machine translation, speech recognition, categorizing documents, identifying who's speaking, and the list really goes on and on and on. I mean, because language is such a ubiquitous thing and we use it all day long to do things, the list of things that you might want to get a computer to do using language is pretty endless. So, careers. What do people end up going into from this degree? Well, a wide variety of things, almost inevitably. But for example, from the programming side, there's people who will just kind of go off and do software engineering. That's one sort of straightforward outcome. Possibly they will go off and do development of programs that are actually specific to do with language technology work. So that's one whole sphere of destination that people go to. Maybe they take the language that they've learned, and that is the thing that is kind of central to their career. They may work as translators, interpreters. People possibly people have gone off to other occupations where the language itself is vital, like in the diplomatic service. So it's fair. I think it's fair to say that if you complete the degree, you have a certain number of strings to your bow. There's a lot of problem solving involved in carrying out the degree. That arises in computer programming, where you have to develop a solution to solve a particular problem, and also in linguistics. Evidently, programming is something you're going to have to do. Analysis. I mean, both in linguistics, but also in computer programming, you have to kind of delve into things and separate things out in a sort of fairly clear conceptual way. Obviously, there's a foreign language that you've learnt. And there's this final item, how I have their self-reliance. This relates to the fact that you've gone and spent this year abroad, which is something which all the students who go and do it kind of cherish having done. They enjoy it. It is also a substantial undertaking to embark on. I mean, you have to go to a university abroad, figure out its bureaucracy, and go to the right lecture theatres, learn these materials through the foreign language. So it is quite a thing to undertake, and people feel very, I think, satisfied having undertaken it. I mean, they've spent their year abroad and come back unscathed. And I think it stands to people when they return. They are noticeably more self-reliant, and on their CV, I think it stands to them when they're sort of talking to employers. So this is just a list of various places that people have ended up going off to work, either in computer companies like for Google. Some people working in translation, some people working in the patent office, some people working in diplomatic corps, some people going on to do further research, many things. So I can't give you a whole walk through the details of the course. You should go online. There's obviously much more information there. But anyway, here's a quick look at what occurs in the first and second year. So you'll be doing fundamentals of computers, what they are really, and introducing computer programming, so starting to help you learn how to make computers do cool things. Threaded through, you see across both first and second year, there are maths courses. These are both to help in the kind of analysis of how the computer programs do their thing, but also further down the road, they're kind of necessary in developing particularly smart kinds of software, particularly artificial intelligence and machine learning, clever software. Like I was saying, it's like these Amazon suggesting what thing you might like to read also, or weather forecasting stuff. They involve in the implementation of them. There maybe is a certain amount of mathematical concepts involved. Anyway, there's linguistics. So at the beginning, this starts off in a very general way, trying to get the first few steps of linguistics under the belt, syntactic analysis aspects in how the sounds of language work. This progresses on into the second year, becomes a little bit more advanced. In blue there, running across the page, I've just simply said language. Well, that'll be French, German, or Irish in each of the particular departments, where you'll be doing it alongside other people who are also studying those languages. So a feature of the degree also, besides this quick look at the syllabus, is there's an element to it which your neighbours in a lecture theatre, your kind of peers, will vary. Sometimes it will be computer scientists, sometimes it'll be linguists, sometimes it'll be people studying that same language as you. So that itself is an interesting aspect of the degree. Here's some possibly random but actual factual features of the degree that's worth noting. So it certainly is an interdisciplinary degree. I think you can probably tell that from the title of it and maybe that little run through. It is, I imagine, probably the most interdisciplinary degree that Trinity College has on its books. And to some extent, it's sometimes be the case for someone who is undecided between science and arts and thinks, I don't want to give up one of those. It's possibly suited them because it does really live in both worlds to some extent. It has had a tendency to be a gender balanced kind of degree, maybe more so than others. I already mentioned this. By its nature, it fosters many talents. So problem solving, conceptual analysis, cultural awareness, self-reliance. You're certainly put through your paces through a whole variety of different kinds of activities. So to that extent, you get a lot of sort of bang for your buck at your time from your time at university. It's not just really one thing that you're really exercising the whole time. There's quite a lot of self-created projects that are done throughout the degree, so there's quite a substantial aspect of developing your own ideas and solutions. And there's a weekly research seminar which students are encouraged to attend, which gives you a view into current developments in linguistics and computational linguistics. It is, I think, a challenging, useful, and fascinating degree. You know, obviously, I would think that, but you're free to dissent. If you go on the web pages, which is something I would encourage you to do, if you're at all interested in this, you'll find out more information. You'll find some more words from people who have done the degree and expressed their opinion about how it helped them along their particular personal path. So I'm basically nearly done there. What I would say finally, I've already said look on the web pages. So when you look on the web pages, you'll find email addresses and telephone numbers. One thing you can do is come along and spend a day here kind of trying out the degree as if it was a suit of clothes. Shadowing is the name this process goes by, which makes it sound a bit sinister, but you're just basically following around the first and second year students. So you get to go to some lectures, see what they're like, talk to the current students, so you get from their point of view exactly what's involved. on the day, we'll probably also be able to arrange you to speak a bit more in detail to various lecturers and various components of the course. So that's something you can certainly consider doing as a further step in sort of investigating and making up your mind about whether this might suit you or not. And in the past, quite a few people have done that and found it a useful exercise. So when you go on the web and you find these email addresses and telephone numbers, don't hesitate to get in contact. We could probably arrange something so you can either just talk to people here or, as I say, spend a day shadowing and trying things out. So with that, I'll stop.